We worked with a lot of local companies like Boeing and the University of Washington to achieve that goal, to make this business so people can explore the world.
Amazing. And you're making people's dreams come true.
I think so. Well, we think so. We have a number of people who come with us, sometimes referred to as Titaniacs, people who have just been consumed by the Titanic, and it was just great to take them down. One woman, Renata Rojas, her entire life she has saved to do this, and she got to finally see it, and it was really an amazing thing for her and for us.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't hear. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear the thoughts build up until I can't hear. That my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. For me personally, there's something sickening about the dream of Titanic leading to a shipwreck with a catastrophic loss of life, which then leads to a dream of finding the shipwreck, which then leads to another shipwreck. In covering Renata Rojas, I was originally simply going to repeat her story as a sort of counterbalance to my argument that going to Titanic is such a hard sell, that it must have been quite hard for Stockton Rush to sell many tickets consistently. And so what I wanted to show was that going down in Titan wasn't a hard sell for certain people, that for someone like Renata, it was an easy sell. But then I saw this comment from Renata. And at the end of the comment, she, using all caps, writes, "Your video is full of mistakes." This reminds me of the trend in true crime to blame the detective, where the police are the real villains of the story, not the perpetrator, where the investigators, those trying to find out what happened, are basically seen as more evil than the actual murderer. Now, I wonder if there was a similar sense that OceanGate Submersible was full of mistakes. I doubt it. So instead of rehashing the same story about Renata that Renata herself has been telling, and the mainstream media have simply been passing along, which is a story of don't give up on your dreams, even if they cost you everything, I'm going to be telling a different story. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Incidentally, there are about 3 videos that I still want to do related to Titanic. One of them is the search for the Titanic. Another one is, what if there were survivors? If the ship didn't implode, but it merely sank to the bottom, what would have happened following that? And then thirdly, I want to deal with the latest news regarding the Titan. If you're enjoying this episode, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button, and let's get started. So in this episode, I'm not going to be telling the story of triumph. You know, that I got down to see the Titanic. I went down to see a graveyard, a gnarled mountain of death underwater, and so I'm the hero of my own story. And in fact, right now, it happened just in the last few days, the first tourists have gone on the Virgin Galactic, come back to kind of a hero's welcome. And now basically you see them, the center of the media attention, talking about their special experience, that it was the most incredible experience of their entire lives. And basically behind all of those words is, you know, a person wearing a flight suit with a British flag on it. And what's kind of being communicated is,
you're special. You have a very special purpose.
And so because I was able to do this thing that you're not able to do, that means I'm special. I'm the hero of my own story. Instead of telling that story, I'm going to tell a story that's a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. One tragedy triggers the same sort of eyes wide shut daydreaming that leads to the same tragedy all over again. And meanwhile, it's ignore the critics, ignore the signs and symptoms, don't listen to what others are saying, just do what you want to do. Isn't that what the captain of the Titanic did? Isn't that what Stockton Rush did? I previously said that I suspected P.H. Nargile may have acted as a lure. I'm not saying that he was participating in that, but that he was ultimately a lure in terms of the situation. And that's also what the Triton Submersible CEO, Patrick Leahy, said to Nargile directly. He actually said that he had a conversation with PH as recently as a few months ago, and that he kept giving him shit. This is what he said in the interview with the New Yorker. He said, PH, by you being out there, you legitimize what this guy's doing. It's a tacit endorsement. And worse than that, I think he's using your involvement with this project and your presence on the site as a way to fucking lure people into it. And Nargile then responded, I'm getting old and whatever. Now, in an interview with Forbes, Renata was asked how she heard about Titanic, and she answered that she saw a movie, A Night to Remember, and then she watched another movie, Titanic. And when she described seeing the actual Titanic in real life, then she also references the movie, saying it was like the movie without the music. When talking about Titanic, she describes it as a ship of dreams, but far more, it was a ship of the worst nightmares. If it was you, it didn't have any time to make any dreams come true because it sank on its maiden voyage. It wasn't a ship of dreams. It was designed to be, but it wasn't. I think one needs to pause on that thought, that my dream for myself is all about getting caught up in someone else's nightmare. If you ask someone who went down to see Titanic whether they enjoyed the experience and they say yes, then aren't you literally saying, I enjoyed going down to look at someone else's nightmare? I think by hook or by crook, whether intentionally or not, Renata may have been a similar lure to OceanGate as P.H. Nargile. Sure, it's okay to be obsessed with something, but this is a case where you are either actively participating or being used in advertising and social media and promotion to attract or lure unsuspecting tourists. And you have, I played it at the beginning of this clip, you have Stockton Rush in an interview 11 months ago, less than a year ago, on King 5 Seattle, describing this Titanic enthusiast whose dream comes true. And now isn't that being used to promote this idea? And so how the lure worked was, don't let anybody stop you from following your dreams. Rojas has said that the Titanic is so compelling because it was a tragedy that wasn't supposed to happen. And yet you've got articles like the one in the New Yorker that describes it as an accident waiting to happen, that it literally was an accident waiting to happen. And if you're very familiar with the law around Titanic, you kind of feel like that was an accident waiting to happen as well. And so if you think about it, if there was more science and less sentiment around Titan and the OceanGate, perhaps that tragedy could have been prevented as well. What's your opinion? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.